Well, good morning. My name is Jessica, one of the pastors at Twin Lakes, and as always, it's great to join you for today's daily video Devo. So last week, my family and I had the privilege of going on vacation to a place called Pine Mountain Lake, and it's near Yosemite. We had a little cabin close to a lake, a small lake, and it was awesome. But our cabin had an Alexa, and that is something my children are not used to. We don't have one in our house. They know about them from school. It didn't take them very long to find the Alexa, and it also took them even less time to start fighting over the Alexa. You know, somebody would say, Alexa, play Let It Go, and then somebody else would say, Alexa, play music from Star Wars, and then somebody else would say, Alexa, play Let It Go, and it went back and forth. Not for very long, because then they started fighting, and then I took Alexa away and put it up on a shelf for the remainder of our week, and it was awesome. But as I was thinking about this, I was thinking that, in our lives, we have a lot of people shouting at us. Not maybe people, actually, but a lot of things distracting us and wanting our attention. And sometimes those things might actually be literal voices. It might be things that we tell ourselves we need to do. It are just distractions from the world, right? You need to get this job. You need to achieve. You need to spend more time doing this. You need to be healthy. You need to, whatever it is, all these things are distracting us, right? And it's hard to listen or to God, right? And find his voice in the middle of that. And it's hard to do anything fully because we're being pulled in so many directions, right? And then I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about the Bible, and I was thinking about how, yes, God does sometimes intervene in powerful ways that demand our attention, right? Like if we look at the story of Elijah, Elijah called down fire from heaven, and it got everybody's attention that day, and it was this really huge, powerful display. Saul on the road to Damascus, God shone a bright light down on him, and in an audible voice said, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? So there are those displays, right? But there's also the times that God comes to us quietly, right? And I think most of the time, God is not demanding our attention. He's kind of there with a quiet voice, waiting for us to notice him and listen to him and spend time with him, right? Like just after that story in 1 Kings where Elijah calls down fire from heaven, Elijah is hiding out in a cave, and he's on the run for his life, and he's super scared, and he's complaining to God. And God, there's a thunderstorm and God's not in the storm. There's an earthquake, God's not in the earthquake. There's a fire, God's not in the fire. But God comes to him in a still, small whisper, right? And a whisper is meant for somebody that is in close proximity to hear, and a whisper is only meant for one person, right? And that's how God talks to us. He comes near and he talks to us. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." And I know for me these days with 2 small kids at home, it's really hard to find time to be still. Most of the time, my time to be still isn't actually physically still. It's a lot of running or biking, but it's time when my mind is still. So as I move my body and I'm away from people, I can still and quiet my mind, and I can listen for what God has for me today or that day. So I encourage you today, if you're feeling distracted by all of those things shouting at you, trying to get your attention, then find some time and space to get away. Find some time to be still, whether your body is moving, it might be on a walk or something like that, maybe paddle boarding. I got to do that at the lake last week. But find some time to be still and listen to God and listen to what he has to say to you today. I hope you have a great day.